It's time to talk about God and guitar with today's guest on 5 Pounds of Sugar, Mr. George Clarkson. George Clarkson, thanks for coming into the studio today. Lead guitarist of Messiaxx. Nice to meet you, my friend.
Great to be here.
You were start with Messiaxx. You guys started in like the late 80s, early 90s, right in that area sometime. Was like 87, 88?
Originally, it started named as Noise in 1985. And then the name Messiaxx came along within a couple of years.
How'd you come into the switching the name? Like what led to that?
Well, it was a division. Half the band wanted Noise for the name, and the other half thought Messiaxx would be a cool name. Messiaxx got the majority vote.
Has your music evolved over the years a lot, or are you guys playing a very similar style to what you started with?
Music was written with the intention of staying true to the roots, basically. It was modeled after several bands, really. We said that it's a kind of a mixture of Metallica, Iron Maiden, Sabotage, Dream Theater, and that kind of thing.
Who is your favorite guitarist, or who are some of your favorite guitarists?
There are many.
Yeah.
Initially, I'd say the ones that got my attention were pretty predictable, traditional kind of guitarists like Jimmy Page. Richie Blackmore is definitely in there. People of that kind of hard rock genre. From there, as things evolved, I was exposed to people like Michael Schenker, played a huge influence.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Rhoads should be mentioned.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah, absolutely.
George Lynch comes to mind.
Yes.
Your albums and stuff. Do you have what do you got? The one Messiaxx album that's coming out, getting the limited release thing that's coming out soon. Is there any other albums
There was one song on a compilation album that was placed there, Isle Wind of Enchantress. And after that, the band had a division of sorts, let's say. And they kind of parted ways, and one member kept the master tapes until after his death. It was his daughter that gave us the tapes and said, do something with these.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So when I was called, I was like, yes, let's do something with this. So we remixed and remastered and redid some tracks and released it as a double CD with a 25-page booklet profiling our history when we started, what happened along the way, kind of thing. And that was released last year from our record label in Greece, and it's still selling on the website worldwide. And I'm pretty proud of it. It came out pretty well.
Yeah.
And what is that website, George?
Always the question.
That's the one I should have written down.
Actually, it's like it's Something Age Records is the name of the website.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sonic Age Records.
Yeah, Sonic Age Records. Yep.
And you can get to the website via the Sonic Age Record.
Yeah. Okay. Then there's also a link off your guys' Facebook page too, as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's there also.
Isn't that funny how the music business has changed in the last 30 years or so, I'll bet?
Wow. Just a tad. Everything got washed out, maybe?
Yeah. Hard to pay the lights with the digital age in tow.
I know all the gear got smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot easier to set up and stuff for sure. Yeah, not as many chords.
Yeah, not a semi-load.
Now, what touring? You guys do any type of shows? Do you just stay down in like the Florida area? And
So far we've been basically in Florida.
yeah,
I should mention that throughout the course of that 35 years, I wasn't an original member. Credit should be given to Jerry Outlaw, Lee and Wayne Gibson, and Gary Muchmore for creating this monster.
yeah.
And I was a hired gun. I wasn't in the first lineup. I was probably in the third lineup. And I was hired as a lead guitarist that could cover the stuff. And then they disbanded for a brief period, and I went on to other things. And then as soon as that gig was up, they called me back to do a big show headlining metal awards in Tampa Bay. And I said, perfect time? Yep, sign me up. So that was the second time I was in the band. And then another disbanding, and it wasn't until the deaths of Wayne Gibson and Gary Muchmore that we had access to the masters, and then we remixed them. And for the third time, I was called back to do the live show, which was recorded and filmed, and tentatively to be released this year sometime. So we have another live CD coming out.
Is there a vibrant metal scene in Florida?
Yes, there is.
That's cool.
Tampa Bay is the metal capital of this country.
I did not know that. One more reason to go to Florida. At what age did you decide this was what you're going to do? I'm going to play guitar. I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow my dreams. I mean, was it early on? Was it later on?
Oh, it was early on. I was inspired by music from the earliest days. This is my dad's Marty Robbins recording.
Yeah.
I liked it. It's like, wow, this is ear candy.
Yeah.
And I'd say by the time I was 12, I was thinking, if somebody else can do this well, why can't I? So I dove in. My first paying gig was age 14.
Oh,
High school. High school dance.
well, what do you have like a band with like a couple of your buddies or whatever from high school that you guys played with, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
what was the name of that? Yeah, remember 14-year-old band. Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a few years.
Yeah.
George, you have a project coming up with Metal Church?
Well, it's with and for the lead vocalist of Metal Church. And
That would be, is that Mike Howe?
no, it's Ronnie Monroe.
The original singer.
And it's a benefit album we're doing. It's entitled Wrath of Thunder. And it's for his wife, Javon. She's battling cancer. So a bunch of big hitters stepped up to the plate to do this. I'm just thrilled to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Among the other artists, Ira Black from Dokken is tentatively going to be doing this with us. And that'd be great. And looking forward to it very much.
It sounds like a great cause indeed.
Yes. I like that reason,
Yes.
benefiting something.
Yes.
Always did, I guess.
Yeah, you do another benefit for that Gary Muchmore, the original. Was he the guitar player for?
He was the lead vocalist.
Okay.
And frontman. That started as on the anniversary of his death, and kind of snowballed into an annual thing because the turnout has been outstanding.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And we played the first one, reunited for the first time in 15 years. And we all scattered around the country a little bit now, but we got the tapes, and with the advent of Facebook and so on, it's so easy to send a file over and do your homework. And we showed up, rehearsed once, and did the gig next day.
Where's that located at? Was that down in Florida as well, or?
Yeah, that's in the Tampa Bay area. It's Clearwater, Florida.
Oh, okay.
They do that at the Quaker Steak bar and grill kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Nightclub.
Yeah. Now, the band, the name Messiaxx. How did you come up with that name? Like, how did everybody come into agreeing on Messiaxx? What's the meaning behind it?
Well, not everybody was in agreement with it. Let's just say that. But initially, it was just Messiah and Axe, God of Guitar. And then any religious connotation you care to, is something positive attached to that. We caught some flack from a few people that said we were mocking God. It's not the case at all. It's just God of guitars, nothing more, nothing less.
It seems like a common trend anytime with the like metal bands, like you got like Testament, anything like that, anything that references God or religion, then it's like, oh, it's blasphemy. Well, no, we're throwing it out there more. We're not.
Exactly.
We're not tainting the religion. We're throwing it out there more. We're praising it almost.
Yes, very much.
This summer coming up, we've got the benefits going on. You have the benefits going on and such. Any other big plans or things of interest to throw out there? Things you're looking forward to?
Well, nothing's been confirmed, written in stone yet, but a tour of Europe was discussed, and it's not confirmed, but that might be hanging out there. Hopefully so.
Where does metal really seem to be hot in Europe?
All over Europe.
Nice.
It's like somebody picked up Tampa Bay and just put it in Europe. They still love it over there. It's mainstream, whereas here it's been kind of compartmentalized and put into a tiny corner of the broad spectrum of genres of music.
Thank you, Clear Channel. Ever been to South America to do any playing?
That is one place I've never been, in music or otherwise.
You guys might be missing the boat because that's where Iron Maiden's killing it at.
Yes, they are. Yes, they love it down there. They love all heavy metal down there. There's a huge market there.
Yes. If you have your own airplane too, that never hurts either. But Dickinson has the 747.
Oh, wow. What a leap.
Always a plus.
He's one of my favorite vocalists. He influenced Messiaxx as much as anybody. Well, Iron Maiden. They were a huge influence on us. You can hear it in the music.
Oh yeah.
There's barely a more iconic character in entertainment than Eddie.
Ed Force One. Yeah, he was quite a mascot. First time I saw him was in Allentown, Pennsylvania in '84 with Fastway and someone. And it's like, what is this?
Yeah.
You already blew my head off. You got me, and then they throw Eddie out there. It's like, wow, check this shit out. Yeah. This is something else.
Who was your first concert that you ever saw live?
There's been many.
And how many lawns did you have to mow to get them out for the day?
Well, it took half the summer. I remember that part. Memory escapes me.
Do you have a favorite concert then? Like who the best concert you ever saw was?
Many there too. Monsters of Rock.
I was getting ready to throw it out there.
That was the bill from heaven.
Yeah.
It's like everybody you would want to see on one bill. It's perfect.
What city did you see them in?
Tampa Bay. The old Sombrero Stadium. It's no longer there.
Now, after you do this stuff, do you have any aspirations into any other media? Are you exploring the capabilities of the internet? Where does a guy of your skills, where do you take this at nowadays? How are you getting it out there to the people? Are you concentrating on Facebook? Are you doing social medias? Are you YouTube? What's your...
I'd say all of the above. We have videos on YouTube, live stuff, and a little bit of studio stuff and a bunch of other goofy stuff. But we've networked in that direction, and I've networked in that direction. And without those kind of connections, they may have never contacted me.
Right.
But as far as other forms of media are concerned, we really haven't delved into all of that. So far, we've contained it to the internet, or it's been contained to the internet.
Well, now you've broken the seal and you're on Roku.
That is true.
Yeah, so you're well on your way.
It's the best deal in town.
Your favorite guitar, or what kind of guitar do you play? What do you like?
I favor the ESPs for a bunch of reasons. They're just playable. They fit my hands, first of all. And just the best tone, the best wood, the original stainless steel floor of those and so on. But there are certain times and places when you need a vintage kind of sound. So I tend to favor a Fender Stratocaster, a Gibson SG that was my first guitar. I bought it in '74. I still have it.
Yeah.
It survived being smashed, burned, and
Yeah.
almost rebuilt that one. Just,
Yeah.
My brother and I learned how to play on a guitar. It has a lot of sentimental value.
Yeah.
But I have many others. 3 ESPs I'm using now. That's my primary workhorses. I'll record with whatever gets me the tone I'm after.
Mm-hmm. Do you play any other instruments beside the guitar, or strictly the guitar?
I'm a bass player. A jazz and precision. That's interesting. One of the Fender Jazz belonged to Kevin Rothney from John Oliva's Pain. And
Very
he
nice.
sold that to my brother for $200.
Oh my gosh.
And that's a keeper.
Yeah.
It's the one Bob Daisley used on all the Randy Rhoads recordings.
Nice.
Just tone for days.
I wouldn't even tell anybody I had that thing.
I should get him to autograph it.
You should. George, what's some of your more memorable gigs, or your first gig, or any gigs that are really something that you'd really like to talk about?
There's a few that stand out. The first gig was kind of interesting in that I was 14 and a high school dance, and I was nervous. Like, oh God, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. But interesting, after the gig went very well, high school dance,
Mm-hmm.
Our drummer's parents were out of town, so we invited about a half a dozen girls from Little Valley to come party with us until the sun came up. And at age 14, I thought, I'm gonna do this.
This is why we spend all those hours learning how to do this.
Yeah. And you can, no shortage of people willing to buy you beer at that age.
Especially when you can play the blazing guitar.
It doesn't hurt.
Any other gigs you want to mention, as far as who's some people that you've played with, opened for, etc.?
That turned into a long list of bands. I'd say the first initial big event that I played was a shot at opening for Point Blank. Their hit was Nicole, if anybody remembers that one. They got off a tour with ZZ Top that year, and they were just tearing up the airwaves with that song in particular. And we had a shot. We were 2 weeks in front of that. I didn't have a ride. I was 17. So I hitchhiked every day of that 2 weeks, 30 miles round trip, to make sure I was there on time, and we pulled it off. Quite an effort, but we pulled it off.
Suffer for the art.
And there were, some other pivotal gigs that I think of, that were great opportunity. Just, the first time you stand in front of a huge room with a sea of heads and there's a few thousand people out there, it stays with you. It becomes common after that, but initially it's like stage fright.
Yeah, I bet. Plugging in the guitar into the Marshall stack, I heard Dave Effelson say it's like plugging into the rhythm of the beast or something. He said you never forget the first time you hit that power chord.
That A chord. Blam!
Yeah. We were talking about Talus.
Yeah.
Your connection with Talus, the outstanding Buffalo band.
That's quite a connection. One of the earlier bands I was in, was very fortunate to be in, was a pair of brothers from Western New York. And they were two of the original members of Talus. And they later reformed Hot Ice, which was the band I was in. And their level of talent kind of exceeded most of the people in the region. And they were just awesome players. And that band did it differently. They were very professional. For example, we started coming out of the gate with the calendar full, and we took a month and rehearsed every single day of that month, minimum of 12 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And until it was perfect. Full PA, everything, just as it should be. And that was my introduction to a faster lane, let's say, and bigger crowds, more money. That was the first band that really escalated me to where I needed to be for the next step.
Yeah. The brothers from Tallis, were they the songwriters for High Speed on Ice by chance?
No, this is going back to the early 70s. When they were in Tallis, this was before Tallis had released any recordings. A few years before, several years before.
That makes sense from their work ethic that they went on to enjoy success. And produce Billy Sheehan. And you.
Billy's a character and a half. The first time I saw Tallis was like, this is another one of those pivotal moments I was talking about. This is a Buffalo-based band, but they were like, you'd go into the club and see their stage before they even took the stage. And it was like, well, this is a different realm.
Yeah.
This is above and beyond, And then they came on and did their set. It was just like a religious experience. It was awesome. Billy Sheehan is one of the best bass players in the world, in my opinion. And to see and hear that for the first time was like, this is where we need to be.
I'll tell you, the first concert that I ever went to was this little band. The guy had left from another band. His name was David Lee Roth. And Billy Sheehan was his bass player and Steve Vai was his guitar player. So that really set the bar pretty high for concerts.
Yeah, that's a good one to start out with. They were quite a team.
Yeah. Other pivotal moments or other things we'd like to discuss?
When was like the moment you decided like, all right, I don't need I'm not pumping gas anymore. I'm not mowing yards anymore. Like when did you figure out like, all right, now I'm a musician? Like what was that point? Like when?
I think that happened at the first gig.
Oh really? Yeah, just right on the
Quick learner. George, we're discussing Sabotage, John Oliva, et cetera, any interesting stories, cool experiences? What can you tell us about these guys? They've gone on to such great success. A lot of people probably don't know that they're actually pretty much Trans-Siberian Orchestra now, if that rings a bell for anyone.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sabotage was an interesting band, another pivotal band that affected so much. A huge influence on Messiaxx and everybody else in the region in the metal genre. And again, we're discussing here, talking about two brothers that were, in the same band. And we got to as far as you could basically go in New York. We got to the top of the food chain in a band called Network with my brother, Ralph. And we decided to take the band Network, move it to Florida, and succeed from that point. And everybody was on board with it. I guess the thing that should be mentioned was that I got down there and was kind of testing the waters, and friends of mine were saying, "Have you heard Sabotage yet?" And I'm like, "Never heard of them."
Paul the Mountain King?
This is actually before that. This is 84, I believe. And I went to see them, and it was like seeing Tallis. It was my introduction to the world of metal, really. Seeing them live was just overwhelming. Like, wow!
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds so good.
Yeah.
They were at the top of their game. And they influenced me quite a lot. And I remember thinking, okay, this is the next step, obvious course of events. And then me and my brother put together our bands. There were quite a few of them. And they all were successful. I did very well with a few of them. But Sabotage was kind of like a game-changing moment, and all the bands like them. They influenced so many bands in the metal genre that were in the Tampa Bay area. And that's why I think, in a large part, Tampa Bay metal scene got to be so huge. It was just, everybody was doing metal down there back in the day.
And there's certainly no one that's more underrated than Sabotage is. The way they've turned into the machine that is TSO, such pioneers in their field.
Yeah, that one was a brainchild of Paul O'Neill, their manager and producer, and Chris will even more than John. In fact, back in the day, John was saying Chris is being very secretive about this.
Wow. He's probably afraid the other guys in the band were going to be like, what?
Yeah, how come I didn't get invited on this ticket?
Yeah.
But it's amazing what they have done. Usually a band has its course and it make hay while the sun shines, and then either ascends, keeps ascending, or fades into oblivion. Trans-Siberian Orchestra was quite a concept. No matter what the metal genre was going to do, they could sell that every year.
Yep.
And there is more than one.
Yeah. Yeah, and try to get tickets for it when Christmas gets near.
I recommend it. I saw it last year. Wow.
You're lucky those tickets aren't easy to come by.
That's true. That's some inside help there.
Yeah. George, sticking with the Brothers in Rock theme, what's it like? I'm sure it's special, but working with your brother, being in bands together, what was that like?
Like pulling teeth. No, seriously, it was quite an advantage. And there's been so many bands that have had two brothers in it. AC/DC, Van Halen, Styx, on and on. The advantage is that you had similar influences, and you just thought the same way.
Mm-hmm.
If you were just winging a way to fill a little space, just to fill the space, you were more inclined to come up with the same thing. And together, it doubles everything. It's an advantage, I'd have to say. Yeah, there's difficult moments. We were always very competitive. But it was always with the best possible outcome you come up with in mind that drove us as far as it did. And to take that a little further, we had 3 years between us, and when we started playing the same year pretty much. The bug bit us hard. It's like, yep, this is it.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was, back to the competitive nature, was that neither one of us wanted the other guy to be better. So
yeah.
We kind of ascended like that.
Yeah.
In a competitive kind of way.
Steel sharpens steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you guys grew up around Nebraska Bridge. You spent summers around Nebraska Bridge. The connection with Nebraska Bridge?
Quite a connection. My dad's side of the family had a deer camp there that had been there for 4 generations. And that, oddly enough, ironically, is where I was first introduced to music. I've mentioned Herb Alpert and Marty Robbins.
Yeah.
My dad had this old mono box that sounded terrible. But I remember being 3 or 4 and actually pulling out the album I wanted, finding the track I wanted, reaching up to put it on the turntable, and the hard part, the needle.
Yeah.
But that's where my love for music initially started. And we spent a lot of time there at that camp. We spent summers there. And, it was like a happiest place in our childhood, I think, just growing up there. It was awesome, And finally, let it go 75 or thereabouts. But it's been how'd you put it? A spiritual kind of realm in that my ancestors founded the town, co-founded the town.
Yeah.
It bared his name for some years. And we'll get to that one mention later. But all the places I've been, traveled, toured extensively and played in Europe. And when I come back to the States, or even in my mind, just Nebraska and Nebraska Bridge now is like nothing, no place on earth feels more like home to me, you know?
Nice.
And that's where my brother wanted, you know, to be interred, and I honored his request. It's just,
Outstanding.
it started there, and it ended there.
Yeah.
Halfway.
Yeah.
It doesn't really end.
Yeah. I think of the environment that people grow up in and stuff influencing their music. Like they say, Black Sabbath, the steel hammers, constantly. You know, it helped define that sound. I wonder if there's something about Nebraska Bridge area that you carry with you and express it through your music. That rusty old bridge, or the isolation, or the happy times, or whatever.
The isolation and the happy times come to mind. That'd be a cool name for a band.
Let's do it, man. All you gotta do is teach me how to play.
I guess the biggest thing that the town and our camp and, you know, the bridge means to me, as far as the musical careers, was where I was introduced to music, where I really appreciated it enough to figure out how to play it.
Yeah.
At that age.
Yeah.
And that would be my brother's final request, you know, to be placed there. And you know, it's like beginnings and endings.
Yeah.
It has a lot of spiritual significance.
Things end where they start, and they start where they end.
I suppose that's what I'm
It's
getting
a circle, man. That's a circle.
Yeah, agreed.
George, I just want to say thank you so much for coming in and being a part of our show. It was really great getting to know you and getting to hear about your start in music and where everything has gone for you. And just hope much more continued success in your endeavors with the music and everything. And can't wait to hear what else comes from you. So
Thank you.
thanks a lot for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Great to be here.
Thank you.